Marcus K. Dowling, the Nashville Country Music Reporter at the Tennessean, and I'm here with Joe Galante, who's now a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame. Thoughts about that?
You know, as you just said that, I just kind of breathe it in because it's still sinking in.
Right.
It really is, and I think this room especially gives me pause when I look around the room and go, you're going to be on that wall and you're part of this, and it's rarefied air that I'm breathing, and I'm still struggling here to a degree.
Yeah, so I always look back to Chet Atkins as a legacy point for you as a creator in this town. So thoughts about that when you look at the body of work that people who have had that position at you know, like of being a curator of music and being able to replicate that success over and over again. Thoughts about that?
Well, you know, I felt this obligation when I took over because there were points in my career when I was running the label early on that the catalog, the acts that Chet had signed or Jerry had signed were sustaining the operation while I was still trying to figure it out.
Right.
So that responsibility and the fact that we were part of RCA Records, and at that time, almost half of the artists that were in the Hall of Fame were from our labels.
Absolutely.
So there was, you know, I felt that. I felt that responsibility to make sure that I added to that catalog and just didn't kind of sit in the chair and enjoy what they thought was supposed to be a cool job. But Chet and Jerry set the stage, and I needed to follow in their path.
All right, so a thing about what you were talking about earlier with the CMA and also just with expanding the scope of country music, I feel like that's something that you did as far as like, you know, like expanding the expectation of pop in the country space, which continues to be a thing to this day. So thoughts about that and your ability to be able to pull, you know, the essential root of country into all these sorts of amazing directions that have it work.
You know, I think the advantage for me coming from New York was I knew players on both coasts. And most of the label people in the town didn't. And so when it came time when we had the music, like the Alabamas and the Millsaps and the Dollies, taking them to the coast and pushing it and crossing over came naturally, and it also was a way for us to garner respect. Obviously success in terms of sales and accolades and everything else, but people began to really take notice of what Nashville was doing because these records kept showing up in their format, and you know, it's like, what's going on down there? But we had the artists and we had the songs and we had the records. So it was my mission to make sure that we kept pushing the boundaries, that we could do more because people didn't expect that. Other people in terms of the industry people.
Of course.
You know, and the fans were there. It was just a matter of presenting the music to them. You know, there was a time when I was on the road with Kenny and we had this song called She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy, and we were in Boston and talking about the North, and the guy that was the music director up there says, we're not playing this record. And I said, why? He says, well, there are no tractors up here. So the opening of the song in the show was turning the tractor on. He was not playing it. 20,000 people. They crank the tractor. The whole place goes crazy. I look at the guy and go, now where the hell do you think they heard a tractor, you know?
Exactly. So final question, and this is something you probably haven't thought about, but now you probably should. They have these musical performances during the induction ceremony at the Country Music Hall of Fame. Thoughts of 2 or 3 songs off the top of your head that are in your catalog of #1 hits that you think would symbolize part of your career?
There. I mean,
of course I did. No easy questions, Joe.
Oof. I can't even go there. I feel like I'm on a jukebox on high speed right now, and I can't land on anything that I would go, that one. That's a thought that I've got to spend time on.
No, of course. I mean, like, you know, like the RZA's in town sometimes as well, and also members of SWV. We could go all around the musical catalog.
Yeah, when I start thinking about SWV, I mean, it's so funny because Taj lives here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so I run into her with Eddie every once in a while, and it's such a different experience now than it was when we were in New York.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I'm going to think about that.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Marcus.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
No doubt. This is Marcus K. Dowling, the Nashville Country Music Reporter at the Tennessean, here at the Country Music Hall of Fame with Joe Galante.